Well, the Americans pretend because they want to mobilize NATO headquarters and so on and say to push things like that. And we are sorry, but we do not want to be pushed. We take our time because we think that war is very, let's say, is extremely important, and you don't decide war like that.
Chirac says we have to have confidence in the inspectors. Confidence to do what? They can only inspect what they're shown. If they're not shown anything, what can they inspect?
Why is it then that your country and Mr. Bush supported Resolution 1411? Tell me. If you say so, then you should not have accepted.
On the premise that they would be, the inspectors would have something to inspect.
No,
that was
on the premise in your mind that they will bring the proofs you pretend and they did not bring until now. So give me
based
more time.
on cooperation. If there's no cooperation,
there
you
is
could have them in for another 12 years.
I don't say he's fully cooperative. I agree with that. But don't say he's not cooperative. He has to make more progress. This is what Chirac said straight to Saddam Hussein by letter and so on, to force them really to accept more inspection and to go into detail. But don't say that the Iraqis has not been cooperative. Even Mr. Blix did not say that. Even Mr. al-Baradei did not say. He even said the contrary.
So now France wants to do publicity work for Saddam Hussein. That's an interesting position you put yourself in.
Interesting position. You are working as a 52nd state of the United States of America, and you have lost your independence. I'm sorry to say.
You really believe that?
I see it every day, and the British people don't accept it.
Tell me this, Monsieur Myard, would France dare to use its veto in the Security Council of an American-led resolution to go to war?
As we have always stand firm on our position, defending our interest, and we are not going to support something which is really rubbish.
Defending your interest is the only thing you're interested in. You're not
what about America? What about America?
No, we're talking about France.
Well, I'm talking about France because
so that's all you're interested in is your own narrow
Not narrow, broaden, because we have relation with the anti-Arab Muslim region, because we have interest not only narrow, as you say, but we speak to the people, and people from the third world countries understand us. You know, I'm not. I
come back to the question, though. Would France dare to use its veto?
We shall. I don't. Mr. Chirac is certainly very firm on this position. I have spoken to my foreign minister yesterday night. There is no doubt. We are in the logic of the resolution 1411. We want to be extinguished to the end, and then we shall see.
If you don't use your veto, you're going to be very unpopular, having whipped up all this anti-war sentiment in France.
Well, I know that
now,
Mr. Bush will be very unpopular in America if he doesn't go at war. And he's now in a deadlocked position as well, because he wants war, he's decided to make war. Maybe we lose the election as his father did before. 3/4
of your population want you, according to a Figaro poll, want you to use your veto to prevent war.
Why not?
If Monsieur Chirac decides not to use the veto, is he going to risk the unpopularity?
Well, 3/3 of the British population is not backing the British government position, so we are in the same position. Thank you.
So France could change its mind at the last minute and support war.
I hope the Americans will change their mind.
But France could change its mind.
If we have the proof, the evidence, that Iraq has got such a level of massive destruction weapons, that he can be a danger for anybody and especially around, then of course we shall force him to disarm. Until we do not have this evidence, we will stand on our position and we'll go to the end of this position. You say you're standing on your position. A lot of people believe this is just political posturing. You'll cave in at the end. You always intended to cave in at the end, and you're just trying to exact the maximum price for your support. This is deterrence. You shall see. Don't be so speedy. I don't, you know, there was a French foreign minister, Mr. Couve de Meville, who used to say, I don't take decision. I am not a minister, but don't take decision on an hypothesis, you know. We want facts. You also want to protect your economic interests in the region. Oh. That would be... What about the American and the British? They are 10 times, 20 times more than ours. Your trade with Iraq has tripled since 1997. Let me figure out, I think that the British... You have 60 companies there. Yes, and the British has companies as well. Don't forget, everyone is making trade. I thought that according to a British saying that it is much more efficient to make trade than war. But we're talking about France. We're talking about France's economic interests here. But in fact, you know what? I tell you the figure, and I'm going to tell you. Iraq is the 53rd client to France, and we are the 39th supplier to Iraq. So you see, it's huge, it's very huge. And I tell you one thing, we bought 8.2 of oil percent of the Iraqis that they are selling oil. The American, 2 years before, 70%, and last year, 40%. So you can compare.
Total Fina Elf, 10 years ago, signed a contract to share production in 2 areas. They're now on record as saying they hope to defend their position.
Of course.
So you're trying to support them?
Why not? What about Exxon? What about Mobil Oil and so on? Are they not trying to maintain their position?
We ask these questions to those people. I'm asking you about French interests.
Yeah, but this is normal. Are you a liberal? Are you for the free trade? I tell you frankly, of course.
And if there's a war, you will be queuing up in first position for a slice of the contracts for reconstructing Iraq, won't you?
I tell you one thing. Who will be the country who will have the best chance to be accepted by the Iraqi people? Is that the one who is going to bomb them, or the one who has tried to find a peaceful way?
Well, as Washington sees it, it's going to be the country that liberates them, not bombs them.
Liberate? Then we shall see afterwards, because they will be stuck in, like they are stuck today in Kabul.
Monsieur Myard, we face bleak days here in Europe. A battle against terrorism. Britons have been told, as we speak, that they face a terrorist threat on a par with September the 11th. And what do we see in the international organizations that are pledged to defend collective security? Nothing but disagreement and squabbling. This is a major failure, isn't it? Maybe it's not just your failure, but you share in the failure.
I tell you one thing. If you want to combat terrorism, you don't do it this well. Be more subtle. The best way to combat terrorism is to divide the enemy, not to unify against you. Or what the Americans are doing, they are going to make the gap growing between the Muslim world and the Western worlds. And this is absolutely a cow which is going to come out of this situation. If you want to combat terrorism, look down what's going on in London in certain mosques. Look down what's going on in the Paris suburb as well. I was in Munich and elsewhere like that. Then you will have a chance to combat terrorism, because you have to be more subtle, more clever, and you don't use the force, a strike straight, and then unify all those poor people against you, because you are going to be misunderstood totally. If you want to combat terrorism, be more clever than the Western cowboy film.
And meanwhile, France will try to split as many countries as it can from America.
America is not our guru. America is our ally, but we are standing on the same equal footing as they. I can have a dispute with them, but if they are in danger, we have always been standing near America. We have been combating terrorism long before you have done in this country, and we have been combating terrorism along with the Americans, and we are very cooperative in this field. We shall continue, but don't tell us to make what we don't want to do, because we are not at all convinced by the American posture.
Jacques Myard, it's been a great pleasure having you on the program. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you. It was very interesting.